Somebody can get cut, and then the other fella can run for several rounds to keep out of trouble, and therefore the fight stopped, and somebody who, I mean, it leads to anomalies.
But is this way any fairer? I mean, Smith could be.
But they would order an immediate rematch.
Well, Colin Hart's got, I imagine, Paul Smith a round up.
Yes, what round? Sorry,
so round number 5. He's missed just trying to add up over his shoulder. He's missed a round from his scorecard. As ever, Paul Smith fights not particularly easy to score. It's good work this from Dodson. His best little period of the fight just forces Smith to hang on there on the inside. Oh, good shot that from Dodson. Smith felt that one. Legs just stiffened. There's a right hand. Dodson just misses with a swinging shot. Started this round well. Smith puts out the jab. Made to look a bit messy. Just want to see him double the jab, don't you, Colin? Or box a bit more.
Yes, he's too intent on mauling. Again, Edwards warned Smith about his head. A mild warning, mind you. Just tapped his own forehead.
A jab and then a left hand, jab and then a right hand from Smith. Is that jab working again? That's better. Now Dodson comes back with a right hand to the body. Two jabs from Smith. This is better. The trouble is, it doesn't last that long. Sometimes his footwork is a bit off balance as well, isn't it, Paul Smith?
Yeah, I mean, it's an ugly.
Good uppercut that from Dodson. Smith felt that. Forced to hang on. There's a right uppercut from Dodson, right on the button. Fair play to Smith. He swallowed it well. It's funny, this one, Colin. It's probably Dodson's best round of the fight, and the cut hasn't really come into it, has it?
No. Well, because Smith hasn't been flying in with his head like he has been in the past.
Top shots there, and I think Dodson's got home more. Oh, no, is there a cut on Dodson? Or is that from Smith's forehead?
I think it's blood from Smith.
Dodson's got one of those tough old faces, hasn't he, Colin?
Yeah, lived in, they call it, a lived in face. I think he is cut, yes. I think Jimmy Tibbs is working on Dodson now, but it's high up on the forehead.
So another clash of heads there, I think, has opened up a cut on Tony Dodson's forehead. Well, the fight against Quigley, if I remember correctly, was a real bloody affair, wasn't it, Colin?
Well, it was messy. Scrappy, like this one in many ways.
But bloody, literally bloody.
Yep.
Either one or both of them were cut. That was the uppercut from Dodson. What a shot that was.
There's not a lot of class being shown by either man, to be frank.
Well, Glenn McCrory on Sky has it level at 3 rounds apiece. As does Colin Hart, I imagine.
There's another lecture from Edwards to the two men. I can't lip read, so one can only assume that once more it's a warning about head work. No, excuse the pun, this is all about ifs and buts.
Well, there's been more than a few buts in this fight.
I say more buts than ifs.
I think that's blood from the forehead is now trickling down Smith's face. I don't think it's a fresh one.
Well, they've done a very good job, or should I say Mick Williamson's done a very good job on his eye.
Well, the eye's gone completely now, hasn't it? There's no blood from that at all. One on the forehead, not so easy. I said a couple of rounds ago that this fight definitely wasn't going the 12-round distance. We'll have to revise that prediction. And because the problem with the cuts, which dominated sort of rounds 1 through 5, is it's just beginning to die down a bit now. If it does go the distance, it's going to be a tough one to score. Not rule out another split decision like we had in the Quigley fight.
Yeah, it's not easy for the judges to separate them with what we've seen so far. It's all mauling and grabbing and wrestling and.
Better work coming from Dodson. Smith does come back with a right uppercut. Oh, that was I thought it was a bit borderline low there from Dodson. Phil Edwards tells him to keep the punches up. Smith with a good right hand. Sometimes Smith, he just seems a bit slow, doesn't he, when he's lining these punches up. Not too much coming from Dodson now. Dodson makes him miss. He's just beginning to look a bit tired there, Paul Smith. Does some 3 or 4 left hands here, including one to the body. The uppercut too.
It's interesting that maybe Dodson's feeling Smith was not as strong as he was early on, but he certainly bullied Smith for the last 30 seconds.
The challenge is rounds this. The crowd begin to get behind Dodson too. There's a cheer there for Smith. I think the champion will be the more worried of the two, Colin.
Yes, although I've got him 1 round up.
Give him the last, or?
No, I gave Dodson that round. I thought he won the...
They had him win in the 6th.
Yeah, I thought he won the 6th. But it's, it's so messy. I wouldn't argue with anybody who's got it the other way round or even got it even, because it is a very difficult fight to score, because there's hardly any clean work being done by either man. It's a bit of a mess.
Both Cutsmen are working away fairly feverishly in the corners. Mick Williamson in Paul Smith's corner and Jimmy Tibbs in Dodson's. Dodson's the first to land in the 8th round. Just able to pick Smith off at the moment. Pace has dropped, hasn't it, Colin, as you'd expect?
Yep.
Oh, shot that from Dodson, and that was right on the cut on Smith's forehead. The worst possible start to this round for Paul Smith. He just dabs at the right eye as the blood begins to trickle into it. And it's more of a torrent.
Yes, he's having more trouble with the cut on his forehead than he did over his eye, because, as you quite rightly say, the blood from the forehead is running into both eyes, particularly the right. And that won't... A good left hook from Smith then, but Dodson took it without flinching. There's one good punch and then 30 seconds of mauling.
I was just going to say that. sort of glimpses of really rather a decent fighter in Smith. That left hand and the move afterwards was fantastic. He just can't seem to string a series of punches together. And that in itself allows Dodson, whenever he does get caught, he's got ample time to recover, hasn't he, Colin? Because he's only ever having to deal with single punches. Now what's happening here? Dodson gets a ticking off for throwing Smith. A bit of wrestling there, and Smith throws wildly to the body as Dodson's trapped on the ropes. Dodson's getting a ticking off for not breaking when the referee says break.
Well, I wish I knew who won that round.
Take your pick, I think, Colin.
Yeah, I think because he was more the aggressor of the two, I'll give it to Smith, but not with much conviction, I must admit.
Well, there's still time for this fight to burst into life.
Well, there's been plenty of life, but it's been the wrong sort.
The Quigley fight took a long time to get going. Certainly a compelling last few rounds.